In this video, we'll explore how you can clean up and transform non-RDF data into RDF using OntoRefine, one of the new additions to the GraphDB 8 version. OntoRefine is based on OpenRefine with a lot of extra functionality added to it, as we'll see shortly. For this example, we've selected a dataset of restaurants and cafes in and around Amsterdam available at data.amsterdam.nl. Let's select the CSV file and get started. Next, we go back to the GraphDB workbench. The workbench can be accessed at localhost 7200. The first thing we want to do is create a repository which we'll use to store our data. We can pick a repository ID and title, and we'll use the name of the file for both of those. We can also specify a rule set, and for the sake of simplicity, we'll choose the no inference option. We also specify the base URL, and we use http://example.org/eten-drinken. We can leave the rest of the parameters at their default values and click on Create. Once we've created the repository, we need to connect to it. We can do that either from the list of repositories or by choosing it from the drop-down menu on the top right corner of the workbench. Now let's get back to our data by clicking on Import Tabular OntoRefine. In the Create Project tab, we select our file and then click Next. The OntoRefine tool automatically determines how is the data stored and breaks it into separate rows and columns. We can preview how our data looks and specify some parameters, such as number of lines to ignore, number of rows of data to load, and so on. We can now begin to clear our data. Heading over, we see the city column, and we want to explore what different cities are used in our dataset. We can do that by selecting the down arrow, then click on Facet, Text Facet. Here on the left, we see all unique values used in that column. From here, we can edit simultaneously the cells containing a particular entry by clicking on the edit next to it, or apply filters by selecting a subset of all possible values. OntoRefine also allows you to edit all entries in the column. Using the cities column again, let's convert all values from uppercase to title case. We can do that by selecting the column, then edit cells, common transforms to title case. We next want to transform our latitude and longitude values to numbers. The first thing we want to do is replace the comma delimiter with a full stop. We can do that from Edit Cells, Transform, and use the Replace function to replace any occurrence of a comma with a full stop. We do the same thing for the longitude column by going again to Edit Cells, Transform, and using the Replace function. We can now convert the values to number by going to Edit Cells, Common Transform to Number. Next, we click on the Sparkle button in the top right corner of OntoRefine. This brings us to a Sparkle editor for the OntoRefine data itself. Here we've written a Sparkle construct query that shapes our data in a way that's more suitable for our needs. Next, we copy the Sparkle endpoint and head over to the Sparkle editor that's connected to the repository we created earlier. Here we've written an insert query that takes the data in OntoRefine and inserts it into our repository. We next enable the GeoSparkle index using another insert query. Once the index is enabled, we can use GeoSparkle and run the following select query. The query looks at all restaurants and picks those that belong to the same city and returns the city, the name of the restaurants, and the distance between them. This concludes our short video on OntoRefine. We've seen how we can take a non-RDF dataset, quickly and easily clean it up and transform it using OntoRefine, and then smoothly insert the data into our RDF graph database, allowing us to run queries and discover interesting relationships within the data.